Okay, good morning everybody. Good morning. Give me a wave. Thank you. Let's make one thing very clear straight away. My name is not all Winsor, it's Paul Winsor. And I'm not the Enroll manager of DataRobot, I'm the general manager of DataRobot. So just to make that very clear. And what I'm here to talk about today is why are organizations now choosing to embed AI into their DNA of their organizations. I don't think there's a day that goes by without any new news that's being reported that talks about the type of value that's involved in implementing AI as part of your organization. Significant dollars are being talked about, up to $3 trillion worth of business value. That, but business productivity as well. So being able to reduce your workers' productivity by 6.2 billion hours, this is the kind of attention that AI is getting today inside organizations like yourself. It's also being talked about by some of the biggest political leaders in the world. And so we're finding that these people are actually making reference to AI when they're talking about significant challenges and situations around the world. So it's getting a lot of attention. And then you can lean towards some of the most famous billionaires and entrepreneurs in the world. Elon Musk is talking about the race to build AI. And if you're not building AI right now as part of your organization, and your competitors are, they will crush you. These are very, very strong headlines, guys. This is explaining why AI is getting such attention. And then my final quote that I just wanted to reflect on as the start of my presentation is from somebody called Masayoshi Son. Now, up until about a week ago, he was a pretty much unknown 43rd richest person on the planet. But he's been in the news recently, but he's talking about the future as well, in terms about where we're going to find ourselves at a situation of super intelligence where machines are going to surpass human intelligence. So if that's not enough to grab your attention, then nothing will. So without a doubt, I think on a planet of ours, in the organizations that we work in, as people ourselves, we definitely find ourselves in the fourth revolution, which is deemed the intelligence revolution. And AI is going to impact every person, every organization, every country in terms of what's happening today and how it would change things in the past. And the closest we can get to this is the third revolution. The third revolution, where we saw the digital native companies such as Facebook, Amazon, and Google that came along and changed the way that we shopped, changed the way that we thought about things, talked about brands, and had an opinion. And it actually increased our intelligence through that as well. But the fourth revolution is going to surpass that by an extreme amount. In the next 3 to 5 years, if you're in an organization saying that you use AI, it's going to be like saying you use software or you use computers. It's going to be that embedded inside of your business. Now, there has been technology first mover advantages in the past. Of course there has. When I think back to the data warehousing technology world through to the BI, there's always been a first mover advantage. And that first mover advantage gets you to somewhere towards increasing your competitive advantage. And there's those that follow, and there's simply organizations today that don't take advantage of this technology. But when it comes to AI, the first mover advantage is going to be significant. And the simple fact is with AI, is it's very measurable. If you're deploying AI inside of your organization today, you can really get an understanding of whether or not it's giving you the return or not. Is your customer going to churn away from you? Can you improve your forecast accuracy? These are all very measurable ROIs that you can use when you're using AI. And so if you're not using AI today, and your companies, your competitors, your organizations that are in your area are, they're reaping those rewards today. And I'm going to talk about some of those examples shortly. But I don't want to just assume that everybody is familiar with AI and machine learning. So what does it all mean? So AI is simply systems to perform tasks that ordinarily require human intelligence. That's what AI is. Now, machine learning, as a part of AI, is learning from the past, so you already know the answer from the past, to build a model to predict the future. And if you can take your data from the past and learn from that to predict what that means in terms of decisions you make in the future, this is where we're seeing companies get those sort of returns. But it's not like machine learning hasn't been around for years, and it has. And when you're sitting here listening to this presentation, I ask you whether or not you sit in any of these camps. So are you part of the 96% of people that have had trouble building models in the past? Are you part of an organization of the 90% that struggled to put those models into production? And are you the 1% smart people in the room that once you have put a model in production, you're actually monitoring the performance of that model to make sure it's still giving you the kind of ROI that you were expecting when you first put it into production? These have been challenges that organizations have had in the past when trying to do and develop and deploy machine learning. Now, the other problem is trying to find the skill sets of a data scientist. There's many articles today talking about the challenges of trying to attract data scientists, but also trying to find them that have these 12 prerequisites. Somebody inside your organization that can write code, that has the knowledge of the business, has the knowledge of the data, and could be able to do all of these things. It's very hard to find those types of resources. So what about if we just focused on 2 of those prerequisites and we thought about finding people that just had the knowledge of the business, the knowledge and understanding of your organization, as well as the data inside your business as well. And if we can have that kind of focus, so we're just understanding what we need to solve and what data you have inside your organization, then you're removing that AI bottleneck. Now that's why DataRobot was formed 7 years ago. So a little bit about the company DataRobot. We were founded in 2012 by 2 data scientists, that is the CEO and CTO of the organization. And going from right to left in 7 years, we are now the leading AI enterprise platform and organization in this space. So much to the fact that in 7 years, we're now over 1,000 employees inside of our business. If you check out our website, there's 356 as of today vacancies inside of our organization. Not many companies can come up with those sort of numbers as vacancies. In terms of investment, as a startup company, we're peaking at $500 million worth of investment inside the organization. And we are AI native. As an organization, we haven't transformed or formed ourselves into an AI company. We are AI native, built for the cloud, focused only on driving ROI through AI projects. So much so that we are relentlessly focused on only solving those business problems that drive those types of ROI. And you can see the numbers here on this slide. Now the logos are a little bit small, but I'll show you another slide later on that shows an example of our customers as well. But we're working with the top global 2,000 Fortune companies. Now, DataRobot as a company was the pioneer. We were the category creator of the term automated machine learning. The opportunity to automate a lot of the processes that are involved in building machine learning models. And if you can automate a lot of those processes, it gives you the opportunity to scale the amount of projects, use cases, and business problems you can solve inside your organization. But it doesn't just do that. It also allows you to scale the amount of people inside your business that can actually start using machine learning models inside your organization. So think about the people in this room today that are data savvy, business analysts, come from a world where you've made decisions based on data, but you've never perhaps been involved in AI or machine learning. DataRobot is helping organizations in this space scale up those type of users inside their organization. And so that's our focus, is scale of the amount of projects and use cases you can solve using AI and machine learning, and increase the amount of people that can do that inside your company. So who's actually doing this? Who's actually using AI and machine learning to be very competitive in what seems, as we hit 2020, a very competitive environment we as professionals are working in our careers? And I think you can really group those AI strategies into 3 key areas. It's either to improve upon the experience that your customers have using your services and buying your products, or it's simply to beat your competition. And the picture really describes this. When you're working for a company that is in a very competitive advantage, anything you can do to beat your competition by taking advantage of technology is going to get you ahead. And then thirdly, my background is retail. I run the retail industry for DataRobot, and I've seen many, many companies only in the last week that are basically closing down and losing themselves as an organization. So anything you can do operationally to be more efficient, to protect those margins, protect those profits, then these are the focus areas that we're seeing companies invest in AI. So let's have a look at some of these now. So domestic and general. So anybody a domestic and general customer? Really? No way. Domestic and general? I am. No? Not one person in this room is so you're not part of the 16 million customers. There's 16 million customers and not one of you in the room. Okay, right. Well, have a look at domestic and general. Leading insurance company focused on warranty cover. So if you have appliances inside your homes and you want to protect them in terms of making sure that you can keep them when they break down, domestic and general are there to help you do that. Now, they see each of their customers as individuals. So if they're wanting to retain those customers to renew the next year, to keep them as customers, to make sure that they can protect those appliances in their home, they are using historical data to understand what is the likelihood, what is the probability of these customers signing up with us and renewing with us if we offer them this type of package. And so they're taking their historical data and understanding what is the best offer we can offer this customer to keep them as customers. So that's domestic and general. That's what they're doing for in the AI space. Now Kroger, unless there's any Americans in the room, are the second largest supermarket company in the world. Only Walmart are bigger than Kroger inside of the retail space. Kroger have 60 million households that shop with them inside of their stores and online. And in the last year, they've served up 1 billion personalized offers to those 60 million households. The way that they're doing that is they're understanding the customers' shopping profiles, their history of their shopping, the products that they're interested in, the type of recipes that they would be interested in cooking, and the type of new products that they would like to perhaps try. And so by understanding that data, they are campaigning and communicating with those customers to send them coupons to actually try these products and return to their stores. And their conversion rates on those conversions by sending very hyper-personalized communications is hitting about 70% on every single time that they communicate with their customers. Today they have over 200 people inside their organization using DataRobot to serve up those insights to produce those coupons that go out to those customers. So we also have Velocity of Australia, which is the frequent flyer loyalty card for Virgin in Australia. Now they want to be very, very relevant again in a customer experience perspective, if they're going to communicate with their customers, what should they be communicating them with? What kind of offers should they be sending them to? What kind of holidays do they want to be offering to them? To what destinations? What type of class in terms of travel? What kind of additional services would these customers want? And so they're producing campaigns to understand what would be the likelihood if we sent this offer to this customer that they would actually pick up and actually redeem this offer. And so we have Velocity of Australia using AI and DataRobot in that perspective as well. Now Carrefour, French headquartered, I think they're the 6th largest retailer in the world today. They've discovered that everybody now is very time poor in terms of the amount of time that we all have, because we're all so incredibly busy. So instead of continuing to build hypermarkets that take customers 2 hours every week to walk up and down aisles, they are now targeting where can they put convenience stores from a footprint perspective, so that the stores are actually where customers want to be, on their way home from work, on their way to train stations. What is the likelihood of the revenue that you could get from investing in a physical footprint of a convenience store in any sort of city or any sort of location across the world? Now Carrefour are using DataRobot today to predict the revenue you would get from opening up new physical stores. And they're doing that today in France, they're doing that in Belgium, they're doing that in Italy, and they're doing that in Brazil. Now from a competition perspective, they're able to be very, very highly confident that when they open up that store, it's going to give them the returns that they need. And they're taking in data points such as where the competition is based, what's the population of the people in this location, what's the average income of people, how far have they got to travel to get to the store. They're taking all of those data inputs and predicting the likelihood of the revenue they would get from opening a physical new store. So from a competition perspective, they're really using AI to make sure that if they're going to invest, they're going to get a return from it. Now I can't divulge who this customer is, but it's one of the top 5 apparel and fashion global retailers in the world. And they've understood that in a fast fashion environment of clothing, that they need to get their precision, their forecasting absolutely right. They only have a short window in a seasonal event, such as summer or winter or autumn, to make sure you've got the right amount of product for the demand that's needed. And they've moved away from traditional ways of forecasting these products to an AI demand forecasting driven perspective. So much so that they've improved their forecast accuracy by 9% to make sure that whatever color, size, style, etc. is always there when the customer comes into the store, and that you're not basically having a pile of clothes at the end of the seasonal period that you've got to try and do something with. The benefits that this company is talking about by getting that 9% accuracy is about $300 million worth of better savings from forecast accuracy. So shifting the way that they're basically forecasting into an AI-driven perspective. Okay, 2 more. So we are right now, I think 2 weeks away from Black Friday, and I think I don't want to scare you all, but I think we're only 6 weeks away from Christmas. So for retailers, we're in the golden quarter. We're in that period of time where it's absolutely critical that retailers make their money in this quarter. Now this retailer understands that in this period you get a lot of peaks, you get a lot of changes to the demand at the last minute. It's very volatile. And so with a large distribution center that is basically picking this stock and distributing it to the stores or distributing it to the people's home, if you don't have the right amount of staff to pick that stock, then when that demand comes in, you're going to disappoint the customers, you're going to have gaps on the shelf because you can't get the product to the store. So this very large top 3 global retailer in the world is using AI, is using machine learning, and is using DataRobot today to predict the amount of staff they're going to need over this very volatile period. And when they did this 12 months ago, they increased their forecast accuracy by 30%. It meant that when the order finally came in, they had enough staff, basically, in their distribution centers. They didn't have to phone up short-term contract hires and spend a fortune on additional resource. And it saved them $2 million a week in basically savings. So operational efficiencies is absolutely an area where companies are saving and protecting their profit as well. And then finally, I can't go by without basically talking about healthcare. There was a previous presentation today that said, would you trust AI with your life? Well, you're already doing that today anyway. We have companies such as Stewart Health in the hospital area in healthcare that are basically predicting the amount of staff they're going to need in the emergency room for next day, for next week, based on the likelihood of how many people are going to come in to the emergency room based on things that they've got wrong with them. They're also predicting what is going to be the illness, the problem that they've got when they come into the emergency room. And to even overlay that, they even use weather data to understand what is the probability of the people that are going to come into the emergency room in the summer that perhaps are going to be dehydrated or might have sunburn. And the same applies for the winter. How many people are going to come into our emergency room that may have flu symptoms? So today, companies are already using AI to basically help save your life. And let's hope none of you end up in the emergency room tonight. But if you do, let's make sure that we've got enough staff to serve you guys. So lastly, AI, machine learning, it is definitely embedded inside of organizations. I hope some of the examples I showed you today give you a confidence that it's already taking place. And some of your companies that perhaps you're in or your competitors are already deploying it. When it comes to understanding what those use cases are, DataRobot's been around for 7 years. We've been involved in hundreds and thousands of projects in this space. We know this market incredibly well. We know exactly what are the highest impact use cases that are going to solve the problems that you've got side of your business. Now, this example is just my example. I am looking after the retail industry, so these are very much retail use cases. But we have this for every single one of our industry. So, to recap, 5 things you need to really go away and think about. How much is your organization today talking about AI? How educated are your executives and your leaders and your decision makers and people in this room? How educated are you about the value and the improvements you can make within your business deploying AI and having it embedded inside your business? It's a really important point, because if you're not talking about it today, as you've seen, some of your competitors are already getting that first mover advantage. When you're thinking about investing in this area, you have to think about driving value. It is not about coming up with the smartest machine learning project. It's about coming up with the highest impact, those use cases that are going to transform your business, that's going to basically make you more competitive, that's going to give your customers a better experience. It's really important that you think about value first. Automation is going to allow you to do more than just one project. It's going to allow you to have several projects on the go at the same time. It's going to enable your data scientists to be much more agile and much more focused. But it's also going to allow some of you in this room today, some of you in this room today that may want to be coming into this area of actually starting to use AI machine learning. Using that automation will allow you to actually skill yourselves up to actually do that. And just as a side note, I'm working with one of our retail customers today that built a use case around the back to school campaign. For those of you with children in the room, the whole big importance of September when your children go back to school, which customers are likely to buy a product from us that basically is attributed to school children going back to school. When you've got millions of customers, do you want to send out that campaign to everybody, or do you want to look at the likelihood of which of those customers would buy something from you if you campaigned? And the customer that I'm talking about that I work with is somebody that wasn't trained as a data scientist, actually was trained as a nurse, built the campaign, got a seven-figure return on the ROI of customers that basically bought something based on being targeted around that campaign. So we can definitely empower what we deem as the data scientists, the AI creators in this space as well. And finally, it's all well and good getting a model built and assessing whether or not that model is going to give you a difference, a change. However, you have to think about the operations. If it doesn't go into production, it's worthless. If you don't maintain and monitor that model, it could drift. And it might be in 3 months' time, it doesn't give you the same performance as it did. You need to make sure that you're monitoring the performance of those models as well. And I don't think if I haven't been clear enough about the importance of where we're heading towards as organizations, as companies, your company needs to think about how you transform yourself to an AI-driven organization. So, if you want to hear more about this, and you want to hear more about how these companies are using AI and machine learning today, then this final slide is going to be incredibly easy for me. Because the last guy that presented on the stage had to almost give you a visual map of how to get to his booth. But if you've been paying attention, then we predicted the right place to put our stand when we knew we were presenting today. And so, ladies and gentlemen, if you're interested in hearing more, I have many of my colleagues over here, and if you all look in that direction, you'll see the great big DataRobot sign. That is our stand over there. We're here for 2 days. We would love to talk to you about how we can help your organizations, and thank you very much for your time.